Hey everybody, I'm David. I'm gonna start posting videos on my channel for people getting into truck driving, going to school, and then when you get out on the road and everything. This video is going to be about things that you need to bring. Every company you start off with is going to give you information on what you should bring. I'm going to give you some tips on extra things to bring to make your life a little bit easier. I'm starting with Stevens Transport out of Dallas, but the school I'm going to is going to be in Kingsburg, Colorado. The name of the school is Careers Worldwide, and you do live at the school, and so I will post a video of living quarters up there, so anybody looking into getting into Stevens Transport, you will have an idea of what's going on. It is June of 2014, so that way you have a reference to how old the video is. I know a lot of people, they post videos and they don't tell what the date is, and sometimes it can cause problems with outdated information. So we're going to go ahead and get started and going on over everything that I'm going to go ahead and suggest bringing, okay? So start off, of course, you need luggage. In the very back here, I do have a 27-inch duffel bag that costs about $80. I got that when I was in the military. And then a $50 backpack from Walmart. It is a Ozark Products backpack. It's actually very good. I've had it for a little over a year, and I bought it when I got my motorcycle. So it's a really good backpack. It definitely stands up to stress. It has 4 pockets in there. It even has a spot for a bladder with a camelback. Those of you that were prior military service, you know what a camelback is, but for you civvies that don't know what camelbacks are, basically it's a pouch that holds water, and you can buy them at Walmart, ranging in prices of anywhere between $20 to $80, depending on what kind you get or how big you get. I'm using that personally for carrying school supplies on the way up there, but your backpack, you'll need that for whenever you go into truck stops to take your showers, so that way you can put your hygiene items in there, and so that way you're not having to walk around with a Walmart bag or something in the truck stop and think that you stole something. So just get a backpack. It can be a cheap backpack. I just usually suggest getting high quality when it comes to luggage, because with the luggage, it is one of those few things that it does matter when you pay for it, because usually if you get cheap stuff, it doesn't last. More expensive, usually the better quality. Now let's go ahead and get started on things to bring other than your luggage. First off, I suggest bringing a scrunchie that you can buy at Walmart. They do cost anywhere between $1 to $4 or $5, depending on what kind you get. That one cost me like $1 at Walmart. And the reason why I suggest using those versus a washcloth is because a washcloth, when you get out on the truck, you're not going to have anywhere to hang that unless it's like on your passenger seat. Or on the side of your bunk, and so it's going to wind up dripping and getting everything wet, and then you got a huge mess, or you got a wet bed. Those you can hang up or put in a plastic bag, and then actually just open up the plastic bag and place it somewhere, and it'll dry out on its own without molding, versus a washcloth. You'll actually wind up getting one that's that'll mold on you, and then you've got to go and completely replace it. I'm not taking it, but I do suggest bringing lotion. Especially if you're not used to dry climates, or if you're not used to traveling, because you will be going all over the place, and so your skin's going to take a lot of hits. So I definitely suggest taking lotion if you have dry skin, or you think you might have a problem with dry skin. Of course, toothpaste and toothbrush. I don't have my toothbrush down there simply due to the fact that I'm not putting my toothbrush on the ground. Now, second thing, sorry about that, y'all. Second thing I'm going to suggest doing is do not bring a rechargeable electric razor. If you do get one like this. You can get one from Braun that's $15, and this one is a Philips Norelco. It's $15 as well. It is battery operated, as you can see through the front cover. I do have batteries in there. And the heads are replaceable. They do cost about $10. Even for you ladies that are watching this, with you shaving your legs and everything, definitely I would still suggest getting one of these. I had a girlfriend of mine, well, she's actually an ex-girlfriend now, that drives a truck for Conway, and she uses this for her legs because a straight razor can take some time, and if you need to get a shower pretty quickly, then this will allow you to go ahead and get that taken care of without water or anything. Be careful with these. If you don't use electric razors very often, you can get razor burn with these, so be careful with that. There goes the top of the razor. But deodorant, I suggest bringing at least 2 sticks. You can buy a 2-pack at Walmart for like $4. Shampoo and body wash. If you don't bring both of these, I suggest getting a 3-in-1, which is shampoo, conditioner, and body wash all in one. They do cost a little bit more than just the separate ones. For our eyeglass wearers, if you don't wear contacts, try to bring a second set of eyeglasses with you, and even if it is an older pair, just so that way you do have a second set with you. I do normally wear contacts, but I'm wearing my eyeglasses right now. I'm waiting for my new order of contacts to come in. So this is an older pair that I have. And same thing for contact wearers. Make sure you have plenty of cleaning solution with you, eye drops, and then a case with an extra case as well, because it may be a little bit harder to get a second case for your contacts once you get out on the road, because some Walmarts do not allow semi-trucks to park in their parking lot. Now, for painkillers, I suggest buying the Equate brand because it doesn't cost as much, but it works just as well. This is naproxen sodium. It's the equivalent of ibuprofen, and then also the allergy relief pill, so that way if you're in an area that you're not used to, or you're allergic to something in that area and you don't even know about it, then you can go and take some sinus pills and have some relief without having to worry about going to a doctor or anything. It'll give you somewhat of a little bit of relief. Now, on to some other items that I suggest bringing. Now, I suggest bringing a hat, so that way you have something to protect your head. Now, what you can do is buy a package of bandanas for $1 to $3 at Walmart. They vary in how many you get. So that way you can go and actually put the bandana in the back of your hat, so that way it'll drape over your ears and your neck, because when you're at the school, you will go and be outside a good amount of time, especially with me going in July. It's going to be somewhat hot even in Colorado, so you will need to protect your skin. So if you don't wear hats, I still suggest buying sunscreen, which of course that varies anywhere from $3 to $15 depending on what size and what brand you buy. I also, you do need to get boots. They do say you don't have to have boots. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that would be the best investment, because boots will protect your feet better and keep your feet drier from outside elements. Now, these boots did cost me like $38 at Walmart. They are steel-toed, as you can see on the front of it. It does say steel-toed on it. So, some companies require them. Stevens does not, but I would suggest getting steel-toed, because trust me, there's going to be a couple times that you're going to wish you had steel-toed boots, and if you don't have them, you may pay for it sometime down the road. Also, bring a change of shoes as well. So I would suggest bringing an extra set of tennis shoes, just in case, like the end of the day, you don't want to have to go and wear your boots any longer. You can go and have a cheap set of tennis shoes. Do not wear these when you're working, because that can cause problems. They're not going to be as sturdy as your boots, and then if you get oil or fuel on them, it's going to soak right through them. Now, these pair I bought at Walmart for $7. They were on clearance from $9. They are Faded Glory tennis shoes. They're cheap tennis shoes, but they're great for getting in and out of the truck and going back and forth between the showers. I do suggest getting a pair of flip-flops or sandals, so that way when you get in the showers, your feet aren't touching the bare shower, because some of those showers can be pretty nasty. Alrighty, on to some other stuff. Alrighty, one thing I'm going to suggest doing is getting small notebooks, or a small pad of paper. I bought this at the Dollar Tree for about $1 actually, and it's just blank, and it came with a pen. If you've ever taken one of the cheap pens apart, it's got the same cartridge as this does. If you notice, it's fairly short. It ends right below my middle finger, and what you can do is you can buy a pair of replacement pens for it and just chop it down. Just make sure the ink is low enough that you don't go and get ink all over the place. This one's just a lined book, and the reason why you need these is because whenever you go to a fuel stop, they are going to need your truck number, your mileage, your trailer number, and then possibly some other information, so that way you can gain access to the fuel pump, so that way your company will pay for it, and so that way you're not having to pay out of your own pocket. Because if you don't have that information, guess what? You're about to fork out a good $600 or $700 for fuel at that fuel stop, because that's how they tell whether you're a company driver or a owner-operator. Second thing, they do not require this when you go to the truck driving school, but I do suggest it. is get an atlas. Like I said, it is June of 2014. If you notice, I have a 2014 atlas. The reason why I'm saying get an atlas is because if you get with a company that doesn't have electronic logs, guess what? You probably got to do your pre-trip planning and everything with an atlas. So if you don't know how to read it, there's plenty of YouTube videos up on the internet, and I may possibly post a video that will show you how to read an atlas. And the reason why these are great as well, if you notice, I've already tabbed a couple spots. Like the first tab is hazardous materials, and it gives you different placards and everything. The second one is going to be pre-trip procedure. Now, this one right here is universal. As far as I know, every state follows the same pre-trip. Definitely revert back to your DMV CDL manual to make sure that it does meet the same criteria, but I believe they should all be the same. Also, what's great about this, if you can tell, it's laminated. So this thing only cost me $32.38 at a Flying J that my dad picked up for me. Another great thing about this is it's got weight and size limits for this thing as well. For each individual state, they do have charts and everything to tell you how to read this. And what everything stands for, like that, gives you some information. And then, of course, the heights. The other thing that I'm really excited about is with this atlas, it lists every single state, every major interstate that has low clearances. So that way, if you're going on a route and they tell you in the pre-trip pre-trip information from your from your company that there's going to be some low clearances, check your route and make sure you're not going to hit any low clearances, because trust me, that's not going to be a fun call when you got to call your fleet manager and say, hey, I just ran the truck under a bridge and now it's stuck and the load is damaged, so I need y'all to send somebody out to bail me out of this. You probably will lose your job for that, because it's definitely something that they expect you to do to make sure you don't damage the load or the truck or the trailer or anything. So also, another thing I cannot stress more than anything else, mark your property. If you own it and you're going to a truck driving school, mark it with your name, some form, some way, so that way somebody can't steal it from you and try and pass it off as theirs. Because if you mark it sufficiently enough, trust me, they're not going to be able to go and pass it off as theirs. Now, if you have an atlas when you go up there, go ahead and mark the front of it so that way it's blatant. Also, one thing I would suggest doing, because yes, it is laminated, and yes, this is fairly thick for a front cover, but these can be removed, and people will remove these. So pick a page that you'll remember, and then go and put another tag on it or write your name or something on it, so that way only you know where it's at. And so that way, in case somebody steals it and you're like, hey, they didn't have an atlas beforehand, hey, let me check out page, say, 17, and if you mark 17, it's got your information on there. Guess what? They just got caught stealing your stuff. I'm not saying everybody that you're going to be going to school with is bad, but some people have some sticky fingers, and there's been plenty of times I haven't marked something of mine, and it's gone missing when I was in the military. Another thing, of course, is a clipboard. It comes in handy whenever you're filling out information on a manifest or load information. So that way, especially if you don't have electronic logs and you have to use the paper logs, that comes in handy, because then you can sit there in your driver's seat, do the log, and then just toss it in the passenger seat and then get up and go for the day's driving. Of course, a ruler, especially if you don't have electronic logs, you'll have paper logs, you'll need a ruler. I suggest having a small one, but I'm cheap. I have a long one. I'm not going to go and buy a small ruler when I already have one here at the house. Calculator should be already listed on your list of things to bring. Of course, bring pens and pencils, so that way if you need to go and do something, you have some way of erasing it. If you bring mechanical pencils, make sure you bring extra lead. If you have pencils like this, bring a pencil sharpener. They cost like 97 cents for a hand pencil sharpener. Also, bring a Sharpie, just in case you buy something at truck driving school or out on the truck, you can mark it with your name and somebody can't take it and try and pass it off as theirs. I have this Padfolio that I bought for my previous job, which I worked at a Sprint call center, and I had to use this for work. These cost about $10. They're actually really great because they hold paper, pads, and you can replace them. Now, one thing that I haven't showed y'all just yet, and it's there. It's all in that backpack over there. But I'm bringing a ton of paper, so that way I have plenty of paper to use while I'm out on the truck and while I am at school, so that way I can write everything down. Another thing that I have in my backpack is books and activity books. I would suggest bringing those simply due to the fact that with Kingsburg, the one video that I watched up there, they have ATV, and so if you bring either a laptop or a phone, it may die at some point in time. There may not be enough time for you to go and charge, especially if you're taking a bus up there. So bring a book or some activity books, so even when you get out on the truck and you need to use your phone for whenever you're driving and everything to keep in contact with your company, and so that way you don't have to worry about your battery dying, bring some stuff to do while you're at the shippers and receivers. Alrighty, on to some other stuff real quick. Get down here and I'll move the sleeping bag out of the way. This sleeping bag cost me about $40 at Walmart. I did mark the inside of this top portion of the sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag itself has been marked as well. Do not go and get an overly priced one, simply due to the fact that when you get out in your truck, you're probably going to wind up getting sheets and a blanket and a pillow and everything, so there's no point in buying an expensive one. Buy one that does 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason why I'm saying that is because it makes between 40 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to be comfortable, you're going to be nice and warm, and you're not going to have to worry about freezing. If you get one that handles all the way down to like 0 degrees or all the way up to 110, it's either going to be really too light or extremely heavy, and you're not going to be comfortable, and you're going to have a really bad time sleeping. Now for clothes, socks. This is the most important item out of your clothing. Reason being is because your feet do most of the work when you're driving. Yes, your hands and everything, that's why you have gloves. That's why every company tells you to get gloves, so that you can make sure your hands are protected, but make sure you have plenty of socks, so that way you can keep your feet dry and you can make sure your feet stay in top healthy condition, because you're not going to be readily accessible to a hospital to your normal doctor. So I would definitely suggest bringing at least 12 pairs of these minimum. Of course, a laundry bag, this cost me like $5 at Walmart. It is collapsible, so it is very convenient and when it comes to packing it up, and so that way you're not going to have to go and be carrying around a giant basket. This thing is extremely light. They are durable. They'll last about 8-9 months out on the truck. For $5, it's well worth the money. You can go and buy an actual basket. I wouldn't suggest it because there's not going to be that much room on the truck when you get your own truck. Also, yes, I know these are wash rags, but these are what I call grease rags. They're made, I'm using them in case I am messing with something and don't expect grease to be on there. And a little bit of a tip, going out on the truck with my dad, if you're ever messing with the truck, period, wear gloves, because I can guarantee if you don't think there's grease there, there's going to be grease there. Just in case, though, you can use them as sweat rags, but I use them as basically shop rags, so that way in case something happens and I need to go and clean something up or wipe my hands off, and I don't want to destroy anything or mess anything up, these I don't care about. Just take an old towel or something and make some shop rags. Also, hand towels. Bring at least 2 of these things. Reason being is because, one, use for hygiene. Use it for, like, whenever you're washing your face in the morning or for shaving, or, guys, you know what you use your hand towels for. So bring at least 2 of these. First one for hygiene. Second one, if you want to be cheap and not have to go out and buy bandanas like I'm doing, bring one, usually a lighter color. This is probably going to be the best one. Of course, lighter colors are going to reflect heat instead of trap it in. But use one, like I said earlier, for like your hat, so that way you can keep the sun off your ears and your neck. Also, bring 2 towels. I cannot stress enough when it comes to towels to bring at least 2. Reason being is because, say you're going inside the truck stop for a shower and you happen to be in a hurry and you don't have this in your backpack and you put this over your shoulder, and guess what? It falls off and goes in a muddy puddle. Guess what? You don't have a towel. You get to use a dirty shirt or a clean shirt, and it's going to be sopping wet. So make sure you also bring a second one, and also in case somebody decides to lift one off of you when you're in truck driving school. And once again, mark them with that permanent marker I told you to bring, so that way they can't take it. Also, driving gloves. If you're not used to driving for a long period of time, driving gloves will save you because it will keep the swelling down off your hands and everything, and so that way your hands can slowly get adjusted instead of that first week, 2, 3 weeks, or whatever, eating your hands alive by constantly driving. So these are just basic, these are gold gym weightlifting gloves. They cost like $10 at Walmart. I bought them for riding on my motorcycle. They work great, actually. They're very well stitched. I've had them for about a year or so. Second is the gloves I told you to bring. These cost about $10 at Walmart. These are actually pretty good for work gloves. They are full leather, including this piece right here. If you can look down there, it's got double stitching around the thumb, so that means it's going to hold up a little bit longer than your average gloves. The only downside with this is on your double padding on your palm. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got one line of stitching in there. And once again, my glove is marked. Now, make sure you mark both of your gloves so that way somebody can't have the same. That way, if somebody has the same pair as you, they don't go and try and steal one of yours, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was his." So definitely go and mark your stuff. This is something I'm going to bring as well because, like I said, I'm going in July, and I'll be out on the truck with a trainer during August and then part of September, and some of the states do start getting cold in September. So this is what we call a gator neck in the military. It's just, if this thing will open for you, it's just a rectangular piece of material that's turned into a tube, and you can slip it over your head and cover your mouth and your nose and just basically leave just your eyes exposed, and it'll cover your neck and your ears and everything. It's also great for during rain. This thing actually repels water pretty well. It's cotton, but it's decently thick. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but yeah, probably not. Well, somewhat. Yeah, it's decently thick, if you can tell that right there. It's decently thick, so it will keep you warm, but it also works great during the summer. I did use it when I was in the military to keep the sun off me. A poncho or a jacket of some sort. Now, this is not a poncho. This is wet weather bottoms. This is to make sure my pants stay dry. You can buy this at surplus stores. They run anywhere between $30 to $60, depending on how new the pair is. It's got a zipper on there, so that way these do go over your pants. These are not meant to be worn as normal pants. So these go over your pants, and they've got a zipper on here, and then a strap. So that way it'll go over your boots as well. Now, for shirts, bring at least a week's worth of shirts, so that way you have plenty of shirts. Also, jeans. Whenever you bring your jeans, bring at least 8 pairs of jeans, so that way, in case something happens to a pair, whether they get torn up or they're dirty or you get sopping wet, you have an extra pair that will save you, so that way you're not strapped for jeans. Also, yes, I know it's summer, but I still suggest, especially for the people that are coming from like Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, the whole entire southern part of the U.S., if you're from down in that area and you're going up to a northern area, it's going to be cold. I had to do temporary duty in Seattle, Washington one time, and I left El Paso. It was 110 degrees in El Paso. When I got to Seattle, mind you, this was on May 10th of 2010. I get off that plane and go outside SeaTac. It's 40 degrees. Trust me, I was freezing for weeks on end being up there, and I didn't have any any winter gear with me. So bring at least 2 long sleeve shirts just in case you're in your truck and you get a little bit chilly, so that way you can stay comfortable. That's the biggest thing when it comes to truck driving. You will enjoy it so much more if you are comfortable. Also, for my really cold-blooded guys watching, or gals, I know a lot of girls that I worked with the call centers, they used to freeze. So bring a fleece sweater, a sweater of some sort, even though it's the summer, because some truck stops, if you're there, like Petros, they have theaters inside for truck drivers that you can go and watch. Trust me, they keep them suckers closed up. They get cold. So bring a sweater of some sort that's not really tight, but something that will repel water somewhat, and something that you don't mind getting messed up. Mind you, everything you bring out on the truck, you cannot care whether it gets messed up with grease or something, simply due to the fact that is going to be your job. It is a very dirty, dusty, and greasy job to be a truck driver. So make sure you get durable stuff, spend the extra money if you have to, but get durable stuff, and make sure it's not going to bother you if it gets greasy. One thing that they do tell you to bring is going to be a flashlight. This flashlight is an Ozark flashlight. I bought it for like $11 at Walmart. It's 150 lumens. It takes 3 AA batteries, and as you can tell, This sucker is bright as all get out. Trust me, it will work just fine. Like I said, it is LED. Now, the only bad thing with LED is they do not come with replacement bulbs. So if you change out your batteries and it's still not working, guaranteed that your LED bulb is probably out and you need to get a new flashlight. Some of them, the higher end ones, do come with replacements, but that just depends on the model. They tell you to bring a pocket knife. I'll get into some information about a pocket knife here in a little bit, but I also suggest bringing a multi-tool, not for the knife, but because of this. It's because you have a pair of pliers, but in case something happens to your pocket knife, you do have a blade, a saw, a can opener. You also have a flathead right here that is being a pain in the ass, not wanting to open. And then you also have a Phillips screwdriver. Now, depending on what model you get or what brand you get, they are expensive. They can range anywhere between $40 to $80. I do suggest getting Gerber. That's what the military uses, and they're well worth the money, even though you will be paying out the wazoo for them, but they are well worth the money. As you can tell, my knife, if you probably can't read that because it's kind of blurry, but my knife is Gerber. Now, this knife right here cost me, it was $24 and like 90 something cents before taxes. After taxes was like 27 bucks. I got this because of the extra finger hold right here, because some of the seals you'll be taking off will be plastic. Now, do not use these for metal trailer seals because they will not break them. So that's one reason why I'm suggesting getting this, because then you can use the wire cutters in there. Now, a trick about any and all knives you have with you out on the truck. Do not get a knife that is longer than 3 inches. Reason being is because you have a longer than 3-inch blade, cop pulls you over with it, you are going to be in some serious trouble. At that point in time, it's considered a very dangerous weapon, and they will write you a ticket, if not arrest you, depending on what state you're in. I know Texas, if you have a pocket knife on you that's longer than 3 inches, they'll confiscate it and then arrest you for having a deadly weapon on you. And so there's more rules and regulations when it comes to things you can and cannot have out on the truck. But you measure a knife, which I had the guy at Walmart measure because he had a measuring tape. If the associate you're working with doesn't have a measuring tape, then you need to go and get one out of the tool aisle, so that way you can measure it. It's going to be kind of hard to see this, if I can get this just right, but this blade is right up under 3 inches, and the way you measure it is you start at the bottom of the blade right here where it connects to your hand, to your hilt, and then it goes up to the point. Don't rely on, if it's not as wide as your hand, because some guys have really big hands and they could have a 3.5, 4 inch knife, and guess what? They're still screwed. So make sure you measure that knife before you buy it, because if you bring it back after a couple of days and it's been open and they can tell it's been used, they're not going to take it back just because it's over 3 inches and because it's been used, and so you just wasted 30 bucks of your money for no reason. Also, something I didn't go over, if you can get a case for your flashlight, this is an old multi-tool case that I had that I just soaked down in hot water and broke down to hold my flashlight. That's something really good because then your flashlight's more protected. So, also, get a wallet, even for you ladies. My ex-girlfriend, she carries a wallet herself with a chain on it. This way somebody can't lift this off of you at all. And so that way, if they try to walk away with it, it's going to catch on your pants. I've heard too many stories of truck drivers that have lost their wallets and because they didn't have a chain. If you want to be cheap, if you've got an old dog chain that's in good condition, all you got to do is take an ice pick or a knife. Just be careful if you're using a knife or an ice pick, and punch a hole right there. You won't, of course, won't have the metal ring, but punch a hole in there and then make take a chain and put it on there, and then use like the end of the. Hell, if you have a leash, a metal dog leash, you can use that and just use the clip that comes on it. Another thing, when you are out on the truck, you're not always going to be eating right, or you may get into a healthier diet when you're out of there, so you may gain or lose weight. Bring a belt, an adjustable belt at that, because if you're out on the truck and you bring one with the holes that are punched into it, and then you have to punch the holes yourself, you may wind up puncturing your hand, and trust me, that's not going to feel pretty, and then it could be somewhat dangerous if you go kind of deep. and you're not readily accessible. Also, if you have a belt like I do, I bought this as a Hot Topic for like $40. Yes, this is an actual Corvette seat belt. Of course, you can tell with the GM sticker on there. This cost me like $50. Anywhere between $30 to $50. Yes, it does look like a seat belt. Do not try to pass this off as wearing a seat belt. If a cop pulls you over for not wearing a seat belt, they know these things are made. They know that people wear these things, so it's not going to fly. Also, last and foremost on here, if you can afford it, this is something I'm doing, but if you can afford it, bring an additional cell phone. Usually just get a prepaid. They don't cost that much. If you're buying it for an emergency cell phone in case something happens to yours, get a cheapo. Buy one, a flip phone or a small Nokia bar phone, and just put a little bit of time on there that's made for texting and calling. Don't get internet on there. It's an emergency cell phone. There's no need for internet unless you absolutely have to. But this is a Boost mobile phone. I put $30 on it. It's an older phone that I had that it still works. It's great. I'm also going to go over some tools and apps and everything that would be really great. Well, mainly apps to have on your phone that will be really great to have on your phone that'll help. Also, make sure you bring a phone charger. Also bring a card charger as well. Okay, y'all? But first and foremost, over all this, when you bring all this up there, make sure you are marking your stuff so that way somebody cannot take it from you and say that it's theirs. So, that's everything that I'm going to suggest bringing. Remember, you will have to carry all this, so try and, if you can't carry it, if you know it's going to be a lot of weight for you, bring a rolling luggage kit or rolling backpack, or hell, bring rolling both of them if you need be, so that way you don't have to worry about carrying all this, because this is what you will be, this will be your life for the next 2 to 3 months, is what you carry with you, because if with Stevens Transport, some of y'all, you may wind up going home right after orientation and wait like a week. Some of y'all may be getting up on the 4th day thinking you're going to go home, and guess what? Next thing you know, you're out on the truck with a trainer. So this will consist of your life over the next several months. So make sure you pack wisely, and I will be posting a video here in a little while, probably within the next couple of days, of how to pack your backpack and your duffel bag to make sure that you get as much room out of that thing as possible, because unfortunately, some of us aren't the best of packers, but having some experience in packing things so that way you can take all this, you'll be good to go. So, well, once again, I'm David. That concludes it for everything. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. Tell your friends and tell people that are interested. Hit me up. And so, y'all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.